Welcome back. Today we're reading Chapter 9 from the Ruby Code by Jessica Khoury. Chapter 9, Ruby. When you're fighting a horde of zombie wolves, let me tell you, axes are your new best friends. I hold one in each hand, admitting to myself that the adventurer was right. That rusty sword was holding me back. These silver-bladed battle axes are much more efficient, especially when facing multiple enemies, or mobs, as Ashler calls them. It's night, and we're deep inside Mist Moon Forest, standing back to back. I've already dispatched a dozen undead wolves, but twice that many circle us now, their eyes glowing blue in the mists. Ashler grips his broadsword with both hands, the blade dripping with blue wolf guts. Here, he says, try this. From his magic pack, he takes out a horn bow and a bundle of arrows. They're explosive, he warns. Sticking the axes in my belt loops, I string an arrow in the bow and aim it at the pack. I glance up for a moment at the tall, dark blue mountains rising above the trees. Anger boils in me. I'm so close to finding the next clue on my quest, and these slavering zombified dogs are only slowing me down. I let the arrow fly. A huge explosion of fire, shards of wood, and chunks of zombified wolf flesh shakes the forest. I stumble backward, throwing my hand in front of my eyes. Not because the blast is blinding, but because for a second I can't see the forest or wolves at all. Instead, I see a jungle, hot and humid, and a metal building hidden under the trees. Instead of a bow, I'm holding some kind of steel tube. And instead of an arrow, I'm launching a metallic missile. It strikes the building and blows it apart. What? The vision vanishes as soon as it came, but it's far from the first time it's happened. The desert road was only the first of a string of visions like it. Sometimes it's a desert, sometimes a jungle, sometimes a frozen forest. And there's always violence. People fighting, screaming, running, and me in the center of it all. Ruby! Hearing Ashler shout, I pull myself back to the battle at hand. Dropping the bow, I snatch my axes up and whirl into action, driving off the wolves that were about to chomp off his head. They fall back, snarling, and I work methodically. Axe here, axe there, swing and twirl, jump and kick. It's almost boring. The thrill of fighting is wearing off. It's like the closer we get to solving my quest, the more the world tries to stop me. We've battled monsters, lava fields, tar pits, freak ice storms, not to mention the curse that witch in the desert put on Ashler, making him tiny as a newt. I had to carry him in my pocket until we found the magic potion to reverse the spell. It cost me 3 days, but I couldn't risk my only guide getting swallowed by a random cat. I zone out, trying to remember the details of that building in the jungle. It didn't look like anything in the realm. It looked more real. But what does that even mean? This is real. This forest and this battle and these zombie wolves with their bodies half decayed and leaking guts. How can something be more real than real? It makes no sense. Suddenly, Ashler screams. I whirl around. I was so lost in my own thoughts I let myself get separated from him. And Ashler is, well, let's put it this way. He's not great at fighting. I mean, he's not bad, but he keeps going on about his level and how it stops him from being able to fight most things. Just something else that makes no sense. Now he's in big trouble. A sea of wolves separates us. He swings his sword, but there are too many enemies. No! I yell, trying to fight my way back to his side, but I can't reach him in time. He collapses with a strangled shout, and I gasp in horror as the wolves fall on him, tearing, ripping. Ashler vanishes. Just like all the mobs I've killed, he disintegrates into nothing, shimmering out of existence. No! I scream. I go into a frenzy, hacking brutally at everything in my path. Teeth clamp on my arm, I chop off the head behind them. Wolves dive at me from every side. My axes meet them in midair. The forest is a cacophony of snarls, howls, and death cries. Then suddenly I'm alone. Axes held wide, the forest silent. The wolves are gone. Ashlar is gone. I fall to my knees, dropping the weapons, and clutch my chest. What is this feeling? This pain inside me I can't escape. No, 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 no! I pound the ground as if it could spit him back out, feeling tears run down on my face. He was supposed to help me. He promised to help me. He knows this world better than I do. He was going to take me to the mountain under the crown, where there will be answers. Answers I need. Ashlar! I wail. Yeah? I nearly fall over at the sound of the quiet voice. Whipping around, my axe is in my hands again, I stare. Ashlar stands there, casually buckling on a battered leather chestplate. Those dumb wolves broke my good armor, he grumbles. I might as well go into battle wearing paper as this thing. Ruby, why are you... I throw myself on him, checking him from head to toe, feeling his neck. I saw a wolf bite down on his throat. I saw him die. You're alive, I whisper. You came back. Of course I did, he shrugs. And I see you took care of those wolves while I respawn. They didn't drop any good armor, did they? Ruby? Why are you looking at me like that? I step back, shaking my head, gaping at him. Respawn? Of course I did. You've died before? I whisper. And come back? He frowns. Yeah, it's a game. I didn't die for real, Ruby. I always come back. A game. Again with the game talk. He didn't die for real? I look around the forest. The mist seeps through the trees, but the sky overhead is turning pink. The dusty stars fade, and in moments it's morning. Real. The word echoes through me, hollow as the wind. How? I ask. How what? How did you die and then come back? His eyes widen at the snarl in my voice, and he takes a step back. Whoa, easy. I guess you could say my soul got recycled into a new body. That happens whenever I die. Your soul? Is that a magic thing? No. He pushes his hair back, looking exasperated. Not everything is magic, Ruby. A soul is what makes you real. Or I guess I should say it's what makes me real. It's the part of you, me, that can't be seen or touched. It's, I don't know, emotions and feelings and stuff. Ugh. Tosses his hands in the air. Why am I explaining this to you? You keep making me forget you're not what? With a wince, he just shakes his head, unwilling to say whatever it is he's thinking. Back in Timberton, I say, you told me not to fight those gob spiders or I might not respawn. That's the word, right? Respawn. That's what you call coming back. Well, yeah, but why wouldn't I respawn like you, Ashlar? What about my soul? He grimaces, stammering. I'm not sure. It's different for... Different? I snap, making him jump. You've been different since the day we met. Why? Because you have this soul? Well, yeah. Anyway, you think I'm different? Ruby, when I was gone, you kept fighting. How did you do that? The game was stopped, but you just kept fighting. I thought you were dead. For some reason, I feel foolish, and that makes me angry. I point an axe at him. I thought I was avenging you. No, I mean, I get why you kept fighting. It's the how. You're not supposed to be able to do that. You keep saying that. Ruby shouldn't be able to fight a razor scale. Ruby shouldn't be able to disobey the almighty adventurer's commands. I'm seething now, and I don't know why. Partly because of how dumb I feel, thinking he was dead when he was just fine. Because you're an NPC, he blurts out. You're just a script, a character somebody else wrote, but you don't act like one, and it's weird, to be honest. It's kind of freaking me out. My hands tighten on my axe handles. Just a script, a character. You're not real, Ruby, he adds. I'm real, I whisper. You're not. You're just you don't have a soul. Not real? Fury surges through me. With a roar, I throw my axes to either side. They go spinning, one thudding into a tree trunk, the other biting into the ground. Not real, I say. No soul. Then tell me, Ashler the adventurer, who knows so much? What is real? Then, like I did with my skirt days ago, and the time I lit the bundle of grass on fire, I push on the world around me. I see through the trees, through the ground, even the air itself. Behind it all is that never-ending storm of ones and zeros. They blink and dance, always changing positions, but somehow I can see the pattern they spell out. I push on the numbers, forcing my will on them, making the world change the way I want it to be. Only this time the magic is far, far bigger than when I've touched it before. I have no idea what the limits to my magic are, but the more I push, the easier it gets. As if there are no limits at all. One by one, the trees flicker out of existence. The mossy ground turns brown and dusty. The sun grows brighter, scorching the earth. The land around us for 30 paces becomes dry desert. Ashler stares. I stare. I had no idea my magic was this strong. What is that? I ask him, pointing at the metal contraption to my left. Is it real? It's a car, he says. Some kind of military SUV, I think. But how did you... And that? I point to a spidery-looking thing hovering in the air. That's a drone. And this? I hold up a metal box, another relic from one of my visions. He blinks. Where did you get a computer? That shouldn't be here. None of this should be here. These things don't belong in the realm. These things don't belong in the realm. I relax my grip on the world and the desert vanishes. The trees are back and the moss, all as it had been before I changed things. If those things didn't belong in the realm, do I? Ashler looks at me as if he's wondering the same thing. How did you do that? Magic? He shakes his head, his eyes never leaving my face. Ruby, that's not like any magic I've seen in this game. I look around at the landscape, then down at my hands. It's not? My anger seems to melt away, leaving only weary confusion. I'm so tired of not understanding. I'm so tired of questions with no answers. You're not an NPC, are you? He says softly. You really don't know what you are? I shake my head. I think I used to be somebody else. I have memories of other places. Not of the realm, but of places like the one I just showed you. Maybe you're from a different game, he murmurs, studying me thoughtfully. A mod. Yeah, that would make sense. Someone coded you into this world, but maybe you belong to a different one. I can find out. Back in the real world. The real world? I step closer to him, my chest aching with the need for answers. The place you're from? Is that where you go when your body freezes here? Is that like some kind of other dimension where people have souls? Yeah, sort of. He waves that off. He's still thinking hard, talking more to himself than to me. Doesn't make sense how you just did that trick, though, if you're a mod. You shouldn't be able to change the game's landscape, right? I need to do some research. Someone must know who you are. Ashler. Call me Ash, he says. Fine. Ash? You're saying you don't belong to the realm? No, I'm from... Earth? The real world. Reality. And this place? The Glass Realm? Oh, this is a game, Ruby, for people in my world to play. If you come down to it, it's a computer program. Just code. Code? Yeah, you know, ones and zeros, the stuff this world is made from. Ones and zeros. I suck in a breath, and for a moment I can glimpse them shimmering all around Ash. A smoky, glowing aura of flashing numerals. It's not magic at all. It's something called code, and I can control it. I shake my head. When you froze up the other day, I left the game, he says. You went back to your world. Yeah. I nod. My head is spinning and I have 1,000 more questions, but I feel this is the truth. Like maybe, for the first time, I'm getting a real answer, even if I don't fully understand it yet. This idea of two worlds makes sense, even though it shouldn't. But what does it all mean? Who am I? How did I get here? Am I part of Ash's world or this one? I can get answers, he says. I think I can, anyway. I'll go back to my world and do some reading and then tell you everything I find. I nod reluctantly. I don't like relying on him to tell me everything. I want to find the answers myself. I have to finish this quest. And that's the end of this chapter. We'll see you on the next page.